Well, I bring out this little thing that I wasn't even involved in. This is, they had an exchange with Much Haddam. And this is my grandfather, Nicholas Ackley, giving 30 sturdy coats to Chief Wangunk, Chief Macamutus of the Wangunks. I learned about him from my father. My father used to be a great storyteller, and we had family stories. And I have 3 or 4 favorites, and I can give you one of the favorites. He knew about Nicholas Ackley. Nicholas Ackley was his mother's descendant. He was a Gelston, and Ackleys were my grandmother's family. And he enjoyed he thought his mother could do no wrong. She walked on air, and he didn't really like his father that much. So I didn't have many, 1 or 2 Gelston stories, but I had mostly Ackley stories. And if the advent of radio hadn't come along, I'd probably have a lot more stories to recount, because when he sort of stopped telling stories when he got our first radio in 1936. And that was sad. So all I can remember is some of the favorite stories that he told many times. And one of them was about Nicholas Ackley coming here. Since I took my 4 grandchildren over to Much Haddam, England, I discovered some things that even he didn't know, that they'd sent great-great-great-great-grandfathers Ackley over here to start a colony and a congregational church, because they were Anabaptists and they were persona non gratis over there, and he was to start a colony so more of his cousins and townspeople could come over here. But he was given all the skills he needed, and he was a fairly charismatic young man, and he was intelligent, and they taught him how to teach and preach and find water and dig wells and survey and negotiate and farm, and all the skills he needed to start a successful colony. So, and they loaded up a ship with a few young men. They didn't send any women the first time, and seeds and young animals and poultry and whatnot. And he came across the ocean and came into the mouth of the Connecticut River, and he knew that there was a colony up the Connecticut River at Hartford. He started sailing up the Connecticut River, and about Portland he couldn't sail any further, but there was no colony in sight. So he had his men pole, and he was standing on the prow watching for where the channel was so they wouldn't go aground. And they were poling and poling, and they got near the Wethersfield and the Hartford plantations, and all the people were excited because not many ships came up all the way up the river. So there was this one young, beautiful, blue-eyed blonde girl, Hannah Ford Mitchell, running along the stream bank, and here was Nicholas on the prow, telling his which direction they should pole, and they fell in love. And he decided to waylay his own plans of starting his own colony, and he married, and they quickly had 4 children, a pair of twins, and it wasn't until they were expecting their 5th child that King Charles came back to power in England, and he was giving away land, and they heard about it. And his wife said, "Nicholas, let's go survey. Let's find a high place where we won't be flooded anymore." And their farm was right where the old State House was in Hartford now, and Hartford was flooded regularly, and before they built the dike. So they canoed down the river, and she was great with child, or must have been, because as he went off to survey the land that he wanted to ask for, and he went all the way past what we now call Lake Hayward and down to Salem and up, and then he went across the river and went all the way over through Hadham, and where Hadham is now, and Durham, and he got 104 square miles he decided he was going to ask for, and he got it. It came back a year or so later that, yes, they were given this, but King Charles made one little caveat, that for each settler to ask for the land for himself, he had to clear the land. So you had to clear what you wanted to ask for. And, you know, it was a lot of work clearing land before you could ask for it. But King Charles was the one that denuded Connecticut, because Connecticut was pretty much devoid of trees up till 100 years ago.